6 on Friday night, and we've all had a broken heart. We're all closed down a few good bars.
What's going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to show you how to tie Scotty's McFly. Pretty basic fly to a well-known smallmouth fly. I'm going to throw it for largemouth this summer. I don't see why it wouldn't work for salmon or steelhead if you tied it in brighter colors. But pretty easy fly, pretty simple to tie. So we're going to jump right in. I have a size 8 Mustad R73 9671 streamer hook. The cone head, I don't remember the size of it. I'll put that in the description. I have about 10 wraps of 20 thousandths lead wire pushed up in there with a little bit of super glue. For thread, I'm using Viva 6/0, and I've already started it right behind the lead wire, and we're just going to work this all the way down to the bend of the hook. There's only a few materials you need to tie this fly. Marabou in 2 different colors, the cone head, some lead wire, some flashabou, and some malar cord, or tubing, whatever you'd like to call it. Just make sure you have a good base laid down. And for the first material, we're going to tie in some white marabou. I just have 2 plumes here, and what I'm going to do to make it easier to tie in, so I got a cup of water. I'm just going to dip this in the water a few times to get that wet. And then just pull all the fibers down. That'll help you get more even tie-in point, and it won't be as messy when you go to tie it in. It'll help you get your feathers lined up a little better. And same thing on the second plume. Just dip it in the water a few times, get that feather wet, and then just run it through your fingers. And now you can align the tips of the marabou, and you'll have a pretty even tail on it. That makes it a little cleaner tie-in. Now the tail, I want a shank's length. Take this, lay it down, lay a couple wraps on it. Now, I might make a couple mistakes on this fly. This is the 3rd time I've tied it. I have tied in my box. I'm going to do this pattern with a larger cone head on a larger hook for saltwater and try it to see if I have any luck. So with that tied in, go ahead and cut out the rest of the feather. This up just a little bit. And it might look rough whenever you're tying it with that feather being wet, but once it dries, it goes straight back to being fluffy and wavy. is getting the feather wet. It just helps give you a little bit of an easier tie-in point, and it helps you align the tips. So I'm going to wrap that down good. I think on the original video that I seen for it, you tie it in right behind the cone head and go forward, but tie it in how you prefer. Next, I have some pearl flashaboo. I'm going to take 3 or 4 strands. Find the midpoint. I'll start it from up by the cone head and just take open spiral wraps all the way down to where we tied in that marabou. And the next one, just take and fold it over. And same thing. Get a little more even. And then just work your thread all the way back up. And now we're going to go ahead and cover up this lead wire with wraps to give a nice bright green underbody. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to leave my thread right in the back. Flashaboo. I'm going to trim the same length as the tail, maybe a little longer without cutting my tail. Like so. I'm going to try to get in and just separate that flashaboo a little bit. So I have 4 strands on each side. Now I'm going to take my malar cord, and this part's a little tricky for me, getting it tied on, but I'm going to do my best at it. First, got to remove the copper core of the malar, which is kind of a challenge in itself. with this. Gonna take it, slide it over our cone head. About right there. You want it sticking out past the tail about that much. I didn't really didn't cut quite a long enough piece, but that'll be alright. I'm going to separate it around my thread and try to hold that down and try to make it right where I tied the marabou in. Make sure it's nice and tight. Then you can take your bodkin and come in and separate the malar cord so you have a nice flashy collar right on the tail. Like so. If you have a large whip finish tool, it makes tying off right here a little easier. So you're going to go ahead and tie off. We'll go ahead and clip our thread. You could use super glue or any kind of head cement that you like. I'm going to use some UV on it. And I'm just going to catch the thread wraps. Careful not to get this on your clothes or you'll have a big spot when you look out to the sun. Take our UV light. Go ahead and hit that. That's why I think this fly would work good for saltwater as well, because it has a lot of flash in it. And it's got that nice bait fish profile, especially for sea trout, stuff like that. I think it'd work pretty good. So our tail is done. Now we're going to reattach our thread. You want to come back from the cone head a little bit, about right there. You gotta watch this Beavis, it's pretty slick stuff, especially if you can't grab onto it real tight. some wraps on it, where I can start to tighten it down. About like that. Just go over that a few times. And you can see the body is twisted. I don't know if that really matters. I don't see why it would. Because it's kind of hard to get the thread on there without it twisting. And you go ahead and clip your tag end. Now the next couple tie-ins that we're going to do, the rest of the marabou and the flashabou, you want to try to keep it right in this little spot, because in the end we'll take the rest of this malar cord and we'll push it back over so you have a nice collar. And the same thing with the marabous. Get it wet, run it through your fingers. Just makes it a lot easier on yourself trying to tie in marabou. Better if you have a wet sponge, just put it on the wet sponge. Whatever you have to get the feather wet. And same thing, we're going to align our tips. Now the collar, you only want to extend about half of the tail. So we'll take this and tie it in right here. So you only want it to extend past the tail that we tied in. You only want it to go about halfway back. It's kind of hard to see. Let me turn this light off. Sorry. Alright, hopefully that's a little easier to see. Lighting's not the best. I'm going to go ahead and secure this. And then we're going to remove the rest of these feathers. Just like so. We're going to tie this down. Try to cover that up a little bit. Like I said, you want to keep your tie-in point pretty small right there, because that'll all be covered up by the rest of that malar cord. We're going to take a few more strands of flashabou. In this case, I think I have about 3 here. Take it and kind of angle it up with the collar. Other one, pull it over and do the same thing. work out as I wanted to. Just take it, pull it into place. Look at that flash booze going back. This time we'll cut this about the same length as the collar. If I can get it to cooperate. Just eyeball that side. It doesn't look pretty, but that'll straighten out in the water. If you have a rotary vise, it helps. Flip the fly upside down. And the last bit of marabou we're going to tie in is a single plume of orange. And the same thing. Just dip it in the water. This we want it the same length as our collar. About right there. Take it, pull it into place. A little long. There we go. I'm going to give this a couple wraps to secure it. Let me redo that. Working with marabou can be a little tricky when you can't hold it tight. Take it, pull it into place to where you want it. And then clip out your extra. And go ahead and wrap all that down. And then whip finish. And like I said, this is only the third time I've tied this fly, so I'm still kind of rough at it. But so you can cut your thread and put it aside. You don't have to, but I'm going to put some UV on those thread wraps because I like the flies to be durable. I want them to last. I'll go ahead and just put some on the thread wraps right there. And you just set that aside because you're going to use it again once we push that malar cord back. This part's tricky for me. Just have to take it and kind of pull it around the best you can. If it all unravels, that's fine. I would like it to hold together a little bit more, but it just doesn't happen that way. And I might have a little too much excess there where it's not going to want to lay back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to UV this in a couple parts. Just put some UV on there. While I'm holding it back. Zap that, or it holds that back. If it's not perfect, it's okay. And we're going to do the same thing underneath. This piece of malar cord I cut kind of short. Should have been a tad longer. All I'm trying to do is work that around to where I can get some UV on it. Try to hold it there. It was supposed to go a lot smoother than this, but things happen. So I don't know if you can see, but I have a gap between the malar cord and the cone head, so it didn't really turn out how I wanted it to. There wasn't supposed to be a gap, and the malar cord is supposed to cover the majority of where you tied that in. All I'm trying to do is get some UV on it where it'll hold all that back. Go ahead and try to hit this part, because the cord is supposed to give you a nice flashy color. Mine didn't turn out that way. And that's basically it. The picture I'll use is a better one that I tied. This one turned out kind of rough, just with the malar cord and the gap by the cone head. So if you tie one of these, you want to start your thread. Have enough malar cord that it extends past to about right here off the hook eye. Start your thread right behind that cone head, and that'll keep you from having that gap. I mean, it'll still fish. It doesn't look the prettiest, but it's for my box, so it'll be okay. So yeah, just start your thread directly behind the cone head, and that'll keep you from having a gap right there. But for the most part, that's it. There. You can see it's very flashy. A lot of movement with the marabou. So that's going to be it for this one. If there's any flies that y'all want to see tied, let me know. If I have the material, I'll work on tying them. Turn this light back on. There. I'll work on tying them. If I have the material, I'll make a video on it. Just let me know what you want to see. Any streamers, I usually can do. Smaller stuff's a little harder. But as always, I'll have a link in the description for my PayPal if you want to help pay for materials or donations. I'm trying to get a track chair. You can look that up on gofundme.com/my name. I'll have the link in the description. I'm trying to get a track chair so I can get out more places. But yeah, give this fly a tie. Do better than I did on this one. This one looks kind of rough. And let me know how you do. Trout, I'm assuming it'll work for trout. Steelhead, if you maybe change this to pink. Steelhead and salmon. Maybe even pike. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new for more videos. I'll have more coming to y'all, especially coming in the summertime where I'm going to be fishing a lot more. But thanks for watching, and y'all have a good one.
Now here you go again. You say you want your freedom. Well,